The $50,000 dilemma right now. A typical brand new automobile in the United States demands a price tag approaching $50,000. Let that number sink in for a moment. This isn't for a top-tier luxury sedan, an exotic import, or a blistering sports car. It is simply the baseline for an ordinary, everyday ride. For a vast number of families, purchasing a set of wheels has turned into one of the heaviest economic burdens they will ever face. Every single month, the bills arriving in the mail look less like traditional auto loans and more like home mortgages. Financing arrangements that used to wrap up in 4 years are routinely pushed out to 6, 7, or even 8 years. Consequently, a massive wave of motorists now find themselves underwater, owing far more on their loans than their depreciating vehicles are actually worth. Yet even as regular buyers get squeezed, major automotive corporations are celebrating historic multi-billion-dollar earnings. This glaring contradiction brings up a fundamental mystery that executives prefer to avoid. If ordinary people can no longer easily buy these products, why do the prices keep climbing? Even more troubling is another question hitting the global market. How are manufacturers in China turning out functional electric transport for a tiny fraction of that cost, all while stacking them with fresh tech every year? Something genuinely unusual is unfolding across the ocean. Before we jump into how this happened, if you find these insights eye-opening, please take a quick second to hit the subscribe button so you never miss our deep dives into the global economy. Over in China, convention centers are regularly packed with brand new electric models that retail for less than what someone in the West might spend on a pre-owned motorbike. We are talking about miniature electric trucks, compact city commuters, tiny utility runabouts, solar-powered mopeds, and basic delivery vans. Some of these options roll off the line costing less than a high-end smartphone. While critics in Western countries might look at these microvehicles and laugh them off as novelties, the engineers creating them are laying the groundwork for a massive shift that traditional automotive hubs never anticipated. To understand how we reached this point, it helps to look back at how the domestic automotive industry shifted its focus away from budget-friendly options. Throughout most of the previous century, the standard playbook for car manufacturers was straightforward. They built a diverse lineup meant to accommodate everyone from college students and young parents to blue-collar workers and retirees. The primary objective was volume, meaning they aimed to sell millions of units by capturing every corner of the market. Gradually, though, a different financial reality took over. Companies realized that larger platforms yielded vastly superior profit margins. Basic compact sedan might net a slim return, but a fully loaded sport utility vehicle could bring in several times that amount, and a massive pickup truck could do even better. Once the corporate offices analyzed those balance sheets, the path forward became clear. There was little incentive to market 10 low-cost vehicles when a business could pocket the exact same profit by selling just 3 high-ticket ones. As a result, budget-conscious models quietly began to fade away. Major manufacturers dropped traditional sedans and hatchbacks altogether, focusing nearly all their energy on massive trucks and spacious family crossovers. The entire market tilted, and the average price tag climbed steadily year after year. If you walk into a local dealership today, the absence of basic options is striking. The affordable, no-frills starter car that historically introduced young drivers to car ownership has practically vanished. Instead, shoppers are guided toward oversized vehicles packed with complicated driver-assist networks, massive touchscreens, premium interior trims, and luxury upgrades they might never use, all attached to prices that would have seemed absurd a couple of decades ago. It turned out to be an incredibly lucrative strategy for the manufacturers, but it left regular consumers in a tough position. This environment has created a complex financial trap for buyers. While a $50,000 price tag is objectively staggering, the way people purchase vehicles has fundamentally changed. Sales representatives rarely focus on the total sticker price during a transaction. Instead, the entire negotiation revolves around a single figure, the monthly payment. The discussion shifts to whether a buyer can handle $600, $700, or $800 a month. By shifting the focus, the actual lifetime cost of the vehicle fades into the background, and the monthly obligation becomes the only thing that matters. This starts a challenging cycle. Lengthening the duration of a loan makes an expensive vehicle look manageable, and those higher prices force buyers into even longer commitments, allowing retail prices to climb even higher. The pattern perpetuates itself. A vehicle that should be financially out of reach suddenly looks doable on paper, at least until the interest charges pile up, the heavy initial depreciation sets in, and the owner realizes they're tied to a massive debt for an asset that is losing value rapidly. Millions of drivers are currently stuck in this exact loop. If you are enjoying this breakdown of the hidden forces shaping our world, please subscribe to the channel now to help us bring you more thoroughly researched stories just like this one. While Western companies were focusing on maximizing the return on every single vehicle, overseas competitors were prioritizing something completely different: sheer scale. This fundamental difference in philosophy changes everything. Manufacturers abroad were not trying to figure out how to squeeze the highest possible profit from a single customer. Instead, they focused on a broader mission, creating basic, accessible transportation for the masses. Though those two goals might sound somewhat similar, they lead to entirely different outcomes. One approach yields high-end luxury products, while the other builds a massive interconnected industrial foundation. That very foundation is now delivering some of the most unexpected vehicles on the planet. Picture stepping into a massive automotive expo. Instead of the usual display of high-end sedans, concepts, and six-figure supercars, you encounter an entirely different reality. The floor is filled with tiny electric vehicles priced anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. There are miniature utility trucks, three-wheeled runabouts, electric delivery pods, and solar-assisted scooters. These machines are so basic that you can see virtually every mechanical and electronic part responsible for making them move, initially. International visitors tend to smile or dismiss them. A lot of these micro-vehicles look like scaled-down, playful copies of famous rugged SUVs or luxury foreign cars. They look like amusement park rides or toys at first glance. However, as onlookers study them, they begin to see the practical utility. People start realizing how useful a cheap, basic vehicle could be for quick grocery runs, short crosstown commutes, dropping kids off at school, navigating retirement communities, or completing daily chores without taking on a massive debt. Suddenly, the novelty wears off. These basic creations are addressing a fundamental need that many established automakers walked away from years ago: affordable personal mobility. This is not about building a status symbol, flaunting horsepower, or offering luxury. It is about providing pure functional transportation. Beneath the surface of these miniature electric rides lies an incredibly potent industrial network. This manufacturing engine is capable of churning out batteries, electric motors, power electronics, operating software, and charging infrastructure at a volume and speed that few regions can match. Quirky little city cars are merely the visible portion of a massive industrial shift, with the real strength hidden deep within the manufacturing pipeline. Once you look closely at that system, it becomes clear that the competitive edge has less to do with low-cost labor and everything to do with integrated production. The primary reason these vehicles are becoming so affordable is found in the underlying factory network that creates them, which is where the shift becomes truly remarkable. The most widespread misconception about these foreign vehicles is the assumption that their low prices stem entirely from cheap assembly line labor. While that narrative might have held some truth a generation ago, it fails to explain the modern reality. Today, advanced automotive manufacturing relies far less on manual labor and much more on highly integrated supply chains, automated factory layouts, battery chemistry development, raw material refining, and software engineering. This is precisely where a massive long-term advantage was established over decades of focused investment. Consider what happens when a company builds a vehicle in the West. The battery packs might come from one vendor, the interior screens from another, the power electronics from a third, the raw materials from various global mines, and the operating system from an independent software firm. Now, contrast that with an industrial hub where nearly all of those crucial suppliers are located within a short drive of one another. In this integrated setting, battery engineers work directly alongside motor manufacturers, and electronics suppliers are simultaneously producing parts for smartphones, home energy storage, solar arrays, and passenger cars. This close proximity makes everything faster, less expensive, and highly efficient, allowing engineering teams to implement upgrades smoothly. This explains why these companies can design, build, and launch new models at a pace that catches traditional legacy brands off guard. The communication loop is compressed, the manufacturing facilities are clustered together, and the development teams work hand in hand. It operates less like a fragmented group of separate corporations and more like a single, massive industrial organism that accelerates its output every year. This reality is incredibly evident in battery production, which has replaced the traditional combustion engine as the core technology of the modern auto world. Instead of just setting up a few battery assembly plants, an entire ecosystem was built from the ground up, controlling everything from raw material processing to final manufacturing and eventual recycling. This structural advantage matters immensely for consumers. When battery costs drop significantly, a domino effect occurs across the entire transportation sector. The commuter car gets cheaper, the delivery van gets cheaper, the electric moped gets cheaper, and the micro-utility vehicle gets cheaper, making the basic act of moving from place to place far more accessible. When people in the West read about overseas electric vehicles, media coverage usually highlights high-profile flagship models, like the latest premium sedans, high-speed sports cars, or vehicles bragging about cutting-edge self-driving software. Interestingly, those high-end models are not the most significant vehicles hitting the market. The real disruption comes from the basic, unglamorous vehicles that rarely make the evening news. The tiny city runabouts, the small three-wheeled utilities, the solar-assisted scooters, and the neighborhood transport vehicles matter most because they demonstrate what happens when an entire industry focuses on broad accessibility rather than prestige. Think about how the vast majority of people actually use their personal automobiles every day. They drive to the office, pick up groceries, drop off their kids, and run local errands. Most daily commutes are measured in short distances, not hundreds of miles. Yet many families find themselves buying heavy, oversized vehicles designed to cross whole continents, climb rugged mountains, or tow massive trailers, which are capabilities they rarely, if ever, actually need. It is a bit like buying a commercial jet just to visit a neighboring town. For generations, buyers accepted this compromise, believing that bigger meant safer and more expensive meant more desirable. However, younger generations are looking at personal mobility through a very different lens, prioritizing affordability, practical utility, convenient tech, and basic efficiency. This is why the microelectric ecosystem is so compelling. These basic vehicles are not trying to status signal or impress neighbors. They are simply answering a straightforward question: how can a person travel from one point to another for the absolute lowest cost possible? Solving that basic problem on a massive scale has the potential to reshape the global market. When personal transportation becomes incredibly inexpensive, completely new segments of buyers open up. College students, senior citizens, lower-income households, growing urban populations, and developing countries suddenly gain access to mobility, unlocking an economic opportunity measured in hundreds of millions of potential drivers worldwide. This presents a reality that established automotive hubs are reluctant to face. For more than a century, American manufacturing defined car culture, pioneered the modern assembly line, and transformed how the world moved. Yet, major industries never remain static, and history does not reward past achievements indefinitely. Legendary corporate giants in photography, video rentals, and mobile phones all dominated their respective fields until the underlying rules of the market shifted beneath them. Today, the fundamental rules of transportation appear to be shifting once again. The next major phase of automotive history might not center on horsepower, 0 to 60 acceleration, or ultra-luxury interiors. Instead, it could be entirely about affordability. What if the most influential vehicle of the coming decade isn't a six-figure electric pickup truck, but a $5,000 electric urban commuter? What if the true breakthrough is a product that does not offer more features, but simply costs far less? This is the exact trajectory that industry analysts are starting to evaluate seriously, and it clarifies why world governments are looking so closely at these emerging automakers. The introduction of tariffs, trade barriers, and regulatory investigations is not happening because these low-cost vehicles are irrelevant. It is happening because they are becoming far too prominent to ignore. True disruption often catches established leaders off guard because it originates from the bottom of the market, taking over the basic, low-margin segments that traditional brands abandoned long ago. History shows that when a new competitor gains a foothold at the entry level, the rest of the market can shift rapidly. The ultimate shift in the industry might point towards smaller, more efficient platforms. When looking at why these vehicles can be built so affordably, the explanation goes far beyond simple labor costs, government backing, battery access, or production volume. It is the powerful combination of all these elements operating in unison as a cohesive system. This industrial framework is engineered specifically to drive down expenses at every single step of production. It is an environment that embraces constant experimentation, accepts fast failures, and remains eager to build products for niche markets that larger legacy competitors view as too minor to bother with. Ultimately, the most compelling question is not whether these miniature commuter vehicles will eventually fill Western streets, but rather whether they highlight a deeper desire among regular consumers: the need for genuine choice.